Well guys, in Skip Point, here we are for a boys trip with my brothers and a few other mates, and we're about to head over to this little island over here, largest sand island in the world, Fraser Island. And I'm going to show you how to catch tailor in the surf, what to look for, what sort of setups, rods and rigs to use, and a few different ways of catching them, a few different ways of cooking them. They're so tasty when they're fresh, and how we go about bagging them up and freezing them so that they last in your freezer. A lot of people don't like it, but we eat them at home all the time and love it. Anyway, let's go. Get on this barge and get into them. Well, we're on. Great thing about the manta ray barge, you can pay online now. They send you an email with the little barcode thingies, and they just scan it, and away you go. You can still pay cash, or I think they have FBOS, but how good is that? That's technology. Yeah, mate, you got the scanner thingy for them ones? Got it?
Too easy, mate.
How easy is that?
Yeah, it's
right?
good. Yourself?
Yeah, mate, yeah. Thank you. Goodbye, mainland Australia. Hello, largest sand island in the world. We made it on the island just after the sun come up. Let's go. Woo! Bad day on the beach is still better than a good day at work with a view like that. Just cruising up the beach, getting up towards Happy Valley, and always keeping an eye on the gutters. What's going on up and down the beach? There's a few fish in here. There's a couple of fish coming in. So that's a good sign that the tailor are around. So we'll get up to camp, get set up, and then go and find us a gutter up near camp, which we're heading up to Zone 6, north of the Mahino, and we'll see what's up that way. So we're just here at Yidney Rocks. If you can see with the glare off the water, there was no beach, no sand in front of the rocks. So our only option is to take these bypass tracks. Well, after driving around for a bit there, trying to find a camp, surprising how busy it is up here at the moment. We've found a spot here, big enough to set up a big tarp, and we can throw a few swags out and around the place. Tide's on the way in now, so once that tide starts dropping this afternoon, it's time to be down the beach, checking it out. Go for a run up to the north, up towards Dundabara, just see what sort of gutters we got around the place. But for now, we'll get camp set up, and then we'll be back down the beach. The perfect way to see the formation of the beach and the gutters is from the air. So from the drone you can see Just here, perfect example of where tailor will be holding under that white water next to a suck out or a breakout, whatever you like to call it. And another angle here from the beach at ground level where the white water sits is where you want to be fishing, and then you got the deeper water in the suck out. Righto, cruise the beach for a couple of Ks, which is what you do when you're trying to find where a tailor might be in the surf. And we've been looking for these gutters, like you've seen in the drone footage. A bit hard to see from the land, but we found this spot with a bit of a suck out where it's gutter continually all the way along the beach, and then it heads out to sea. So a bit of white water there. It's a tailor normally like to hide under the white water and chase the bait fish, which is where you want your bait to be. The weather's not the best this afternoon. We've even had a bit of a water spout break out straight out there. It's just folding up back into the clouds now, but there was a forecast of thunderstorms this afternoon. It is blowing a bit, as you can tell from the beanie. It's a bit cold. But how good is Fraser Island? You gotta love just being here. Whether the weather's good, bad or ugly, you can't beat this. Well, the first morning, it's time to head down the beach, see if we can find a few tailor. We end up with a couple there last night. Just a bit of a warm-up session. The kettle's just boiled. Make a coffee, and we'll get down the beach because it's just breaking daylight, if you can see that. Ready for a beautiful Fraser Island sunrise. Bit of wind this morning. Everyone else is up in the camp. So we'll make this coffee and we'll get down there. If you can see me, it's just on daylight. I've come about 8 k's down the beach from camp, down near the Mahino. Probably blowing a good 10 or 12 knots, I reckon, from the south. It's going to make it a bit hard fishing, but it's a good looking hole here. We'll get out there, give it a crack till the sun comes up a bit and we can see what we're doing a bit more. In my opinion, it's the best time of the day, but on Fraser Island it's super special when you can get up early, get down the beach, catch a few fish and watch these amazing sunrises over the ocean. After nearly a year of no beach fishing, you're normally a bit rusty on the first morning, but no, first cast, straight up, straight onto a fish. First one, going in the bag. No real size to them. There's no big fellas getting around. A little bit early in the season for them. But a little tip here I will show you is to know the length on the end of your rod. The distance of 35 centimetres from the end of your rod. Have a mark on there somewhere so you don't have to carry a ruler, and you make sure you're complying with all the laws and catching legal fish and putting them in your bag. Well, that was a good little morning session. Got about 10 or a dozen there. Now they're only small, but you got to keep them as long as they're legal. 35 centimetres for tailor in Queensland. Out of this gutter they were biting funny. Just on that period from when it first gets daylight to when the sun hits the water, that's it, your prime tailor time, that half an hour, 45 minutes. That's when you want to have your pilly out there for your bait. I even cast a spinner out and got half a dozen on the spinner, so they were definitely hungry. Good bit of fishing. Boys are still out there, they're still getting the odd one, but like I said, once that sun hits the water, they do slow down. So we'll finish the coffee and then we'll get these on the table, ready to clean them up. I'll show you how we go about, or how I go about anyway. It's probably not everyone's way, or not the ideal way, but how I get the fillets off them and skin them, ready for cooking. So what do you need to go beach fishing to catch tailor? Basically, just a jacket, something to keep the wind off you, and when the waves splash up, and also when you pull those fish in, you can rest them against you, hold them there while you take the hooks out. So it's going to get grotty. It doesn't have to be the best jacket, wind jacket, raincoat type of thing. Then just got a bait bucket, so you can put your bait in there, on a belt, a knife, and a pair of pliers. That's the basics of what you need. Then fishing gear, what I use, and there's so many different options these days. I've got just a 13-foot surf rod, Snyder glass. I've always been a fan of the Snyder glass rods. And the LV, the trusted LV. You can't go wrong with an LV for surf fishing, either in a 6.5 inch or 7 inch like I've got. Then your rig, I'm running I think 15 pound main line mono down to a short trace, number 5, number 6 sinker, and about a foot of 40 pound trace down to your 3 gangs 5/0 hooks. That's pretty much your standard rig. I started running double swivel short trace setup to try and minimise that line twist. You always get a lot of line twist and it wraps around the tip of your rod, especially when it's a bit windy or there's a bit of surf, a bit of swell. That sinker's rolling around out there and it just twists your line up and it's frustrating. That's one rig, one option, and that's the main one. That's my go-to rig. I've also got, which is still on the bull bar, I haven't got her off yet this trip, same sort of setup, the Kgari Howard. I think it's a 13-foot 6, so just a touch longer. 7-inch LV, but this one's got the star drag set up on it. Use that usually when the fish are a bit bigger, it's a bit easier to handle them. So there's that for more your bait fishing. You can use spinners with that, but I've got this one set up just as a quick spinning rod. Same thing, 13-foot surf rod. It's an old Butterworth that I've had since back in the 90s, I think. It's been broken, it's been repaired, and just a Penn spinning reel, Penn 750 on there. Just one of the cheaper reels. As for spinners, I got those couple there this morning on the 60 gram Halco Twisty. That's pretty much my go-to, but there's so many other options with spinners and lures and stick baits and whatever, but usually the Halco Twisty does the job, and it did this morning there on a few. So that's basically what you need to get out and catch tailor. And one thing you do need to get out of bed early, because like you've seen there before, just on daylight, that half-hour window until the sun comes up and hits the water, that's prime tailor time. The only other thing you need is a decent gutter. Nice little gutter here in front of us with plenty of water just after the low tide this morning. It worked out alright for us. That's the gear you need. Obviously you need your four-wheel drive and everything to get up here, but there's so many things and different ways that you can set them up to get out there and go beach fishing and enjoy this. In the ute, the D-Max, I've got the standard fridge that we're running over the other side for the food and drinks, and then I've just got a 40 litre and just keep all the bait in here to keep it frozen. So individually frozen pillies is your go-to bait for tailor. I'm going to be bringing 4 kilos of those up here. Work on about half a kilo a day if they're biting. If they're not biting, you end up taking 3.5 kilos home again. But that's all you need to get up here and catch tailor. We've come up the beach a little bit to try and get out of the wind for our setup while we clean these fish. We've got a few between all of us. That's what they got. I think I've got about 10 or a dozen. No size to them though, they're only little, but I reckon the little ones are sweeter and better chewing. I will show you how we go about getting the fillets off of these, skinning them and bagging them up while they're wet in salt water so that they last in the freezer. So the gear you need, firstly, got this filleting table that I've made up on the back of the ute. And one thing, because I've got the under tray water tank set up through a pump, I've got running water. So before I put the fish on there, I want to make sure there's no sand on there whatsoever, because you don't want sand and your fillets getting any sand in them and getting crunchy. That's why we keep the fish in the bucket, to keep them wet and to wash some of the sand and gunk off them. And then we're ready to fillet. The tools of choice, got some filleting knives here and this one for skinning. Need to be nice and sharp. One thing I will say, people, if you're catching tailor and they come in and they're flopping around everywhere, they have got razor sharp teeth in there. If you can see that, when they get hold of you, they will bite and they will split you open and draw blood. So be very mindful of that. If you can see those sharp teeth, watch out for those. It's alright now, he's dead, but when they're flapping around and they're going chomp, 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 if your hand's there somewhere and they still got the hooks in them as well, you could get a hook in your hand. But more worried about those teeth. And when you do catch them, it's a bit hard to explain when you're out there fishing. You always break their necks, that kills them. You mainly dispose of them, and then you get my finger in there, you would have seen, and break their neck, or it bleeds them out. So you don't want the blood all being through your meat, so you break their neck and bleed them out. I give them a wash in the water, stick them straight in your bag. We'll just give those a quick rinse because I can feel a bit of sand on them. Righto, to fillet them, I always start on that side, get the knife in under the fin, like that. Tailor's bones are nice and soft. Just get your knife and follow it along that backbone without actually cutting into the backbone. That's one fillet. There's no meat left on there. Perfect. That's one. Now on Fraser Island, to dispose of your frames, you can either keep them if you're going to go and catch some beach worms, perfect burley for that, but you've got to bury them at least 1/2 metre deep. So you've got a hole there, and there's certain zones where you can and can't clean your fish because of the dingoes. You don't want to be attracting dingoes to any of the camping areas, the tourist spots like the Mahino, Pinnacles, any of those sorts of areas. You want to make sure that they're buried and then fill your hole in and compact that sand on top to stop the dingoes digging them up, because you don't want those dingoes hanging around. We've had that one pesky one hanging around down there this morning while we were fishing. But while we're here cleaning fish, you just got to be mindful that they'll come out of these dunes behind us and be snooping around as well, looking for a cheap, easy feed. Always got to be dingo safe. Watch out for them, they are everywhere. And with the filleting knife, I do like a thin blade, but fairly stiff. I don't like those big, long, flexible blades. And the thinner blade helps you to get in there and then turn it. Find the backbone, and down we go. And see what they've been eating, chewed up bits of pilly. There will be bones in these. You've got rib cage, pin bones, maybe a few other bits and pieces. You get those boned out once you're skinning. So don't be too worried about those for now. You're better off getting as much meat on your fillet as you can. Righto, that's the filleting done. Now to the skinning part. That's where I use this one, nice and sharp, a little bit flexible blade. A little tip here, always grow me thumbnail, just leave it a little bit long so that you can drive it in there and get a bit of grip while you put your knife in there, find the skin without cutting through it, and then you're pulling the fish or the fillet back towards your knife with a bit of a wriggle motion, and that's it. That's the skin. Off your fillet, which is now skinless, apart from a few little bits, but there's no scales on there. And the only other thing left to do is to bone this out. So you've got a few bones with your rib bones in there, slice those out. And then you've got pin bones. You've got a line of bones that come in here called the pin bones off of your backbone. So just cut a V in there, cut those little tiny bones out, and you're left with that, which is full of bones. That leaves you with a nice boneless fillet. A couple of little dags up here off of his fins. Get rid of those. There is your boneless fillet. And just rinse and repeat basically. You can have a feel around, make sure there's no bones in there. Do that for the other 11 fish. There's another one. Once they've filleted, skinned, boned them out, got a bucket of nice clean salt water here that we can rinse them in. Finish boning these out and they go straight into that salt water. That helps keep them a little bit cool as well. You don't want your fillets sitting out in the hot sun. Just give them a bit of a rinse in there, washes off any gunk that you don't want going in your bag. So they're ready to bag up now. Right, I use these slider bags from Aldi. Seem to work pretty good. Put 4 or 6 fillets in there, which is enough for a couple or a small family. So they're dripping wet. Put them in the bag like that. Lay them flat. The wetter the better, I reckon, so they're frozen in that salt water. 6. That's enough fillets. Zip her up, make sure there's no air in there. And that is ready to go in the freezer. So that is it, fresh tailor. They were still swimming around just over an hour ago. And I'm going to keep a couple for brekkie. Show you how we cook them up, quick and simple, for a fresh Fraser Island breakfast. With the kick-ass fridge, dual zone, so we've got fridge section there, and you've got about a 20 or 30 litre freezer section, which is perfect. So put your fish fillets in, crank it right up for the first couple of hours so they freeze really quick, and it should be running about -10. So all that's left to do now is fill your hole in, make sure that the dingoes aren't going to dig it up, have a clean up here, wash everything down, and then it's time to rehydrate with a nice cold beer, Fraser Island style. Righto, quick cook up on the beach for brekkie after cleaning fish. That's how easy it is. Glorious day, still a bit breezy, but all we need is the old cooker, butane cooker, a bit of butter, plenty of butter. Just melt that in there. I'm just cooking up just 2 little fillets. They're the tasty ones, I reckon. It's good fun catching the big fish, but the little fish are tasty. We get them out. I'm just going to put them straight in there in the butter with a bit of salt. There we go. Fish is going in. With that butter all over them. Cooking brekkie on the beach, Fraser Island. How good. Well, I think they're done. They're falling apart. That's good enough for a quick snack on the beach. Now it's only very basic, but it is just a quick snack on the beach after you've been fishing. All you need is a bit of bread and butter, or you can pick it straight out of the pan. Falling apart. There we go. Like a fish hot dog. Come on. And that was only swimming around less than 2 hours ago. Does not get any fresher. So after being down the beach, cleaning the fish, having a bit of a Tailor snack sandwich. Stop in at this little creek, fill up the water tank, the under tray water tank on the way back. I have spoke about this in our Fraser segment last year, but never actually showed people, I don't think, how I go about filling it up out of these creeks. So all we've got is a 17 litre a minute 12 volt pump. That's filling up into the tank, and on the suction end, if you can see this, it's a little sand filter from Glynn. Stops sucking up any sand, but that's like a foot valve suction straight up into the pump. And look at that, within about 5 minutes the tank's full already. So we can turn that off and tank's full. So that gives me enough water for a hot shower tonight, plus it allows us to use the wash down and everything for the filleting table after we've been cleaning fish. Which the filleting table, all I've done is a bit of 20mm form ply or whatever, non-structural ply. That's just hinged next to the hinges on the back tailgate. A couple of clips there on a little bungee cord. And two, bang, that just folds down. A couple of chains up to the rack. And that's it. That's the filleting table, camping table. You can cook on there. You can just about use it for anything. But perfect for up here and being mobile on the beach when you want to have a cook up or clean your fish, anything. Perfect and quick and easy. A near perfect day on Fraser Island. Set the drone for a fly, looking for more fish and gutters. Come across this two. What I thought was two was actually three, because they had a baby with them, which is very cool to see, and you don't see it very often. Heading south, back to cooler waters. But unfortunately, there's been quite a few this year come ashore, beached, left to die, and dragged up behind the dunes. Well, how quickly things can change on Fraser Island. We went from having the best beautiful morning on the beach to wet and windy afternoon, big showers, nearly like thunderstorms rolling through. It's been raining off and on, it's wet, it's cold, but we've got some good looking water to go and have a fish before the next shower comes over. Well, the good mornings fishing down the beach, Fraser Island style, just north of the Mahino shipwreck. So I've caught me bag limit, that's it. Until we have a cook up for breakfast, get rid of a few numbers, I'm just gonna get some footage of hopefully Catching Tailor. Can't see much, it's a bit hard for me to film while I'm fishing, and lines getting tangled around cameras and stuff on the rod. How'd you go, Andrew?
Yeah, got a couple.
Yeah, happy days. A lot of small stuff out there, but a few throwbacks. So the peak time from that daylight to sunrise, it's just about over. They're starting to slow down, but with this bit of cloud around this morning, the sun's not really on the water yet. So while that cloud's around, they could keep biting for hours. There we go. There's another one about to go in the bag. Did you go, Bert? Another one?
Yep.
We're still getting a few. They weren't biting as good as they normally would in that peak period. A few showers of rain after the rain there yesterday. We didn't get the fish yesterday afternoon, it was torrential, so went back to camp and just vegged out for a bit, shower, warm up, some dinner and an early night. Here we go, he's the world's best fisherman. How you going, mate? You got a few?
Beautiful morning, mate. Yeah.
Doesn't get any better on Fraser Island, does it?
Outstanding. One better one this morning as well, which was nice.
That's good, yeah.
Like there's plenty of...
There's a lot of little ones amongst them, but you get a few good ones. Yeah.
None of them are bad to catch, mate.
No, that's right, they're all good fun. Alright, here's a perfect example of how to cast your alvy. This is how you get your bait out into the water. Wait for the waves, you don't want a wave knocking you over while you're casting. And there it goes. About 100 metres out into this nice bit of a gutter here. Great water for Tailor. It's nice and calm this morning, there's no wind. And hopefully we'll see if Paul can actually hook up here while we got the camera on him. No pressure, Paul. So you just do a slow wind, got to be in contact with your bait and your sinker at all times, because if you let your line go slack, you'll miss that bite. And they haven't been biting the best, it's just a bump or a tiniest little nibble. Sometimes they'll smash it and just hit it, grab and go, but a lot of just little nibbles. A lot of smaller fish too, which is probably why. Whale just out the back of the breakers there, if you can't see on camera. So the bait that we're using are your WA pillies. That's it there. Spin around. WA pilly. Now with your hooks, you can use, like I said earlier, 3 5/0s is what I use, 3 6/0s, 4 4/0s. There's so many different ways you can gang your hooks. You put those on, and I'll show you that. And then you flick him out there, turn that into your tailor. Show you how to put these pillies on. I don't think there is a right or a wrong way, but this is how Dad showed me how to do it, probably 40 odd years ago. So you got your pilly, and they all vary in size a little bit. You want your last hook to go through that eye there. You can lay them out down there to get an idea of where your last hook needs to go. So about there, gap in your fingers, poke it through, but not through the backbone, otherwise you'll just turn it to mush and your bait will break up and fall off your hook. Next one, gap in the fingers beside the backbone, straight through. Last one, through the eye. And that is your bait, ready to go and catch your tailor. Here we go, fish on. Bit of live action. That's it. Oh, look out, the fish are on here, they're everywhere. There's one coming in. That's about the average size of what we're getting legal, just under. And you watch, when you hold them, you've got to be careful you don't put your fingers anywhere near those teeth. They can be a real bugger to try and unhook sometimes.
Would be a lot easier if I had take that off.
Cut. Hang on, we'll go over to this one. There we go, Paul's got a better size one. Look at that. That is a quality Fraser Island Tailor. You catch 20 of those, your bag limit, and that's great eating. Good feed, break his neck, straight in the bag, new bait on the hooks, and get back out there. That's pretty much just us at this little spot down here near the Mahino, but sometimes you can get 100 fishermen fishing these gutters and you are fishing shoulder to shoulder. There might be 1 metre or 2 metres between you, and it's hard fishing, a lot of tangles, a bit of swearing, but it's great fun. It really is. It gets the adrenaline going, especially if everyone's catching fish. For this time of year, which is prime tailor time, sort of between that July to September, October period, we're in August. This is the middle of tailor season. But it looks like the bigger fish haven't got up here yet. And at the end of the day, it's all great fun. A little tip, when you're back around the vehicles, like I said, the dingoes hanging around, you need to be very careful and don't leave your bait laying around. And don't leave your fish laying around when you're back at camp. So you'll notice here, we've got the fish in the bucket with another bucket sitting on top so they can't get it. All the bait's in the back of the ute so they can't get it. Buckets with lids on. So that's how to be dingo smart. You work hard to catch your fish. You don't want the dog to come along and steal them. Just had to stop and show you this on Fraser Island. Cruising back up to go and fillet the fish. And found an international movie star laying on the beach. Check this out. Wilson! Found Wilson on the beach. G'day, Wilson. Poor old Wilson was well and truly sunburned after floating around in the ocean for years, so we had to give him a bit of a makeover, fix his hair, with sun protection and some fluids. Then it was time to clean the fish. Quite a few to get through there. We had great mornings fishing between all of us, got quite a few. The them tidied up and in the freezer, and a few left over for some cooking. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can cook tailor. We've got the pan on. First one is just marinating these for a bit of smoking action. Soy sauce, a little bit of that in there, you don't want too much. A bit of Trident sweet chilli. You get those in the bag and just mix her all up. Normally I'd leave that sit in the fridge for a good few hours, but because of the conditions today we're not going to do that. I'll just go back in the fridge and sit there like that for half an hour or so. So while that's marinating in the fridge, got a few nice little fillets here. We're just going to throw in the crumbs and the salt and vinegar crumbs as well, and just fry them up. Shallow fry them in a bit of oil, quick and easy for a snack when you're on the beach after fishing. Stand around enjoying what the island's all about. And don't forget Wilson, he's waiting for a feed too. Just chuck a bit of oil in the pan. Quick and easy way to crumb your fish without getting technical of egg and flour and milk and everything else. Just put breadcrumbs straight in the plastic bag. Bit of salt and pepper. Give it a shake up. Throw in a couple of these. Just zip her up. Make sure there's plenty of air left in there. Shake her up. And that just spreads the crumbs all over your fillet. Like that. They're ready to go in the pan. Cooking tailor, Fraser Island style, on the beach. Bit of shallow fry, that's all it is. Quick and easy, there ain't nothing technical here. Because this is not bush cooking with Brad, beach cooking with Brad. Because we are on the beach. They only take about 2 minutes each side. But while that's happening, we'll prepare the next bit. It's just salt and vinegar chips. A good handful of them. Stick them in your bag that you had your crumbs in, or you can use a new bag. Close her up, just want to smash them up into tiny little crumbs. That just forms salt and vinegar crumb. Your fillets in there. Zip her up. Shake, shake, shake. The others are nearly ready. Look at that. Well, that's just finishing off. The third part of this is going to be in the smoker. This is an old stainless smoker I've had from BCF quite a few years ago. Picked this stuff up from Anaconda. Smoker sawdust. It's got different bags, different flavours in there. Now, I don't know if it makes any difference. I've always just used hickory, but we're going to try a bit of apple this time. We're going to get them in the smoker. 15 or 20 minutes, as you've seen in other videos that we've done before. Oh, it is delicious. Smoked tailor, and when it's fresh like this, out of the ocean for about an hour and a half, it does not get any fresher. So with your sawdust, it just goes in the bottom of the pan. So we'll give that a good coating, a good sprinkle in there. By the time we put the tray back in, we're only doing a couple of fillets, but I really wanted to load it up to see what this apple sawdust tastes like this time. Like these ones are ready. If they're falling apart, they're ready. That's perfection. Whoop. Definitely falling apart. So that's our fish that we marinated before. Just a bit of sweet chilli, a bit of soy. can put brown sugar in there as well, but I'm not being that fussy this time around. The smoker's ready to go. Put the lid on. The best way, I reckon, to get the heat in your smoker, you would have seen before, is to sit it straight on the butane cooker. Just like that. About a medium heat, and in a couple of minutes that should start smoking. Give it about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and it'll be done. So that's the salt and vinegar stuff, and that's just breadcrumb. Alright, 20 minutes, have a go at this. Oh yeah. It's definitely cooked. Falling apart. There you are, guys. Come and get it. Apple smoked, fresh tailor fillets, only out of the water a couple of hours. Let's get into this. Come and get it.
We're ready. Thank you, sir.
What do you reckon? Try it. So after another great day on the island, catching fish, cleaning, cooking fish, eating fish, the weather turned real bad. The rain set in and it just got heavier and heavier and heavier with a bit of wind blowing it sideways, very uncomfortable. Every day on the island is not paradise, you got to make the most of it while it's good. Well guys, it's been one of those nights on Fraser Island where it's just been wet and windy. Poor old swag over there, she is saturated, still dry on the inside, but it's not a very nice day to be on Fraser Island, so I'm going to cut my trip a day short and I'm going to get out of here. I will say, sorry for cutting it short, there was a few other things I wanted to show you, but I just can't get the footage in this weather up around Indian Head and the fishing closures during August and September. Next year we'll get a bit more information and put that together for you so you can see how to catch tailor on Fraser Island. So I'll say thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you somewhere on the next Brandyscape adventure when it's a bit drier and a bit more comfortable. Makes you appreciate having a caravan when the weather turns bad like this. Take care, guys. See you soon. After leaving camp and driving through the rain for a fair way down the beach, I noticed in the mirror what we'd just driven out of. Very ugly, all over the top end of the island, with everyone else, brothers and the mates, still up there, gonna weather it out. If you've liked what you've seen here, guys, check these other ones out on our previous Fraser Island trip from 2023. Lots of good sights to see, so much to do, and so many fish to catch.